fun bit. Look, rhinos! Rhinos! Our enemies hide in metal boxes, the cowards! The fools! We should take away their metal boxes.
Greetings, Legionnaires, and welcome to another event run for the Fall of Signus event. This time we're going a little bit off meta by playing Ogryn Sergeant. You'll see a lot more of the three main ones, the Warp Spawn, the Assassin, and the Priestess Akshub. Did I finally get that right? I think I might have finally got that right. Those are the main three you'll be seeing most of, most people playing, and that's typically, so we can consider that the meta. But this event I've been quite happy with. It seems to be very well balanced. I've played quite a few different Warlords, and I think every single one has an opportunity at least to get to 12. I got to 12 with most I played. I think I only missed out with maybe the Army Sergeant and Hierophant, but I believe both of them can. Well, maybe Army Sergeant can. Sorry, Hierophant. Can get to 12 if with a bit more luck or maybe better play on my part. But here today we're looking at the Ogryn Sergeant, and he's my favourite so far. I've played a event run or two with him, and he's my favourite that I've had a chance to use. Very strong Warlord, for a reason many veterans might realise. Those who have been playing for a while might remember some events with a certain Iron Hands Warlord with the Frenchy sounding name, namely DuCaine, who also, like Ogryn Sergeant, had the ability to gain frontline as a Warlord, making all his troops behind him invulnerable to most attacks. On the ladder, you don't see DuCaine dominating that much, because most people pack enough removal of some sort, or some kind of troop or board wipe or something that can typically deal with what DuCaine's putting down. In the event, though, the decks seem to be built with a lot less removal and a lot less direct damage than people might include in the meta on the ladder. So that means those troops typically get to build up behind their frontlord Warlord, who, yes, is more vulnerable, but it doesn't necessarily matter when you are able to build up your troops and then they get to attack where they want to attack, where often they are getting deleted by the opponent before they have a chance to do exactly what you want. Namely, many of the troops that would normally not see a lot of play because they are vulnerable to such removal now get to shine a bit and show what they're capable of. So before we get into that, the Ogryn Sergeant, every time he attacks he gains frontline. He gets to heal to himself if he starts towards the end of the game, perhaps, or if you don't have anything else to protect, maybe. He starts to heal himself and recover some of that damage. He's definitely going to be taking damage because you are the only target a lot of the time. So yeah, hopefully you can deal with that and then heal up afterwards. But let's look at what he's protecting. With the metal box deck, he is typically okay, so redoing the recording a little bit here. Well, let me guess what I was talking about. What is technical servitors? They're pretty good. What was I saying about them? They're really handy. Normally in a constructed deck you probably wouldn't use them all that much because they're very vulnerable. But here behind the Ogryn Sergeant, which is a guaranteed front line basically, you will get to far more effectively protect them. And unless your opponent wastes a tactic dealing with them, they'll stick around for a while. With them, you'll get to play your vehicles 2 turns earlier than you normally would be. And oh yes, abandoned supplies and supply lines also work with this quite well. So it's a bit of a the theme of the deck basically is getting out your big heavy vehicles 2 turns earlier than they're meant to. Or if you've got a combination of those effects, you can sometimes get them out 4 turns earlier, which can be insane. Absolutely insane. It can be like, what does your opponent even do when he sees a Leman Russ 4 turns early that's meant to be on the board? Or even something like a 5/5 coming in on turn 3. You know, it's all very powerful stuff if you can get it to work. Which the entire deck is made to do that, and with a bit of help, or a bit of intuition even, you'll be able to figure that out for yourself, and yeah, that's how the deck will work for you. Can't remember what else I was talking about. Also mentioning abandoned supply lines. Yes, we've gone for that. Transmechanic is a good first turn drop, because not only can he pump all your other vehicles, but you've got the row tower there, and the row tower is a very good turn 2 drop, because you'll be able to put Transmechanic on 2 energy. Next turn after that, put down the row tower and pump it up for 1. So you get a 3/3 stealth, which is very. And then he'll just sit there for the entire game, and it looks like the waiting for vehicles to show up. And as soon as they do, he buffs them. Take it from here. And yeah, it can be quite a shock to the opponent, or the opponent realizes the threat that he might pose one day and wastes a removal on him. At which point we also don't really care, because then there's less removal for our bigger friends over here. A very common, well, not, I shouldn't say very common, it can be a little tricky to get both cards in your hand at the same time, but I do love when you can play Transmechanic, Transmechanic turn 1, row tower turn 2, and immediately buff it to a 3/3 in stealth, which can then be a 4/4, 5/5, and then the row tower can just wait until he's ready for his turn to attack. It's quite good that way. You also have the Lazarus section, a very solid card, 3/3 for 3 with a little 1 point of damage. Nothing bad to say about this, and will help with dealing with the threats as the Ogryn's trying to deal with them by himself most of the time. Artillery strike, a bit of extra splash damage, and it can help against your mirror match Ogryns when they put down their own Transmechanic, or as their own technical servitors, trying to nuke them off before they get to ramp up on you. Last Tau, once again, going with a vehicle theme, all Mechanicum troops, which also includes technical servitors and Transmechanics, by the way, will get ramped up with +1/+1 for all your troops, including himself. So very strong here. It can turn Doombringer into an 8/6. It can turn even Transmechanic into a 2/4. 2/4 for 2 energy. That's pretty good. And maybe this can find some use with the last tower, or maybe the Vorax. Bloodthirst with extra +1 attack can be quite devastating. McCormick's Reapers, a very solid card normally. Sees a lot of play in the ladder even, I think, but here not so great, because usually the McCormick's Reapers rely on the opponent deciding to deal with them on their own turn instead of letting them attack and die. But considering that most of the time they're behind your Warlord, most of the time the enemy just doesn't bother using a tactic on them when they know that they would prefer to get rid of them by letting them kill themselves off instead. So, yeah, not a great card in this deck. A little bit out of place. Velataris, this is not out of place. This is a very good card because it can hide behind your Warlord and just continually snipe with 3 damage to, it's a random troop, but you can usually manipulate this to make sure it's hitting something you want. And for only 1 energy, that's very good value. Very good value for your damage, and he can just sit there and snipe away all game. At 4 health, he's also a little bit hard to deal with as well. Things like Seek and Destroy don't kill him off completely, and they'll usually need to spend a bit of effort taking care of him. Engineer Auxilia, again for a vehicle buff, can be insane if given his buff to the Vorax or the Defiler. Defiler becomes a 9, well, it's a 9/4, but being able to attack twice, that's 18 damage. Vorax even is 10. So yeah, consider him. And even if you don't get to, he's still a solid 5 drop. You know, he'll get to come in at a 5/5. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with a 5 drop there. And although very clunky to play with because he's quite slow, your Ogryn doesn't care because he's defending all your stuff. So he's stopping this stuff from being killed prematurely, so it gets to deliver that 5/5 where it needs to go. The Draconian Transport, not a fantastic card either, but there's definitely be times when you'll be wanting to, you'll have 2 energy left over, you have the Transport on the board, and yeah, sure, why not make another 3/3 for 2 energy? That's what the Chaos Spawn does, but we don't have to pay maintenance for ours. On the other hand, it can just do 3 damage. Played on curve, not great, not awful, but played early on the other hand. Like if you were able to if your opening hand has Technical Servitors and Draconian Transport, Technical Servitors turn 1, Draconian Transport turn 2. A 3/5 on turn 2, that's nothing to sneeze at, particularly if it doesn't need to be attacking, it can just continue to poop out more troops for you. Eretan, good targeted removal, and if the enemy doesn't have, usually against big targets of course, but if the enemy doesn't have enough troops to destroy a big target, at the very least this is a stun. So if you're getting overwhelmed a bit, your Ogryn needs a bit of a break, the Eretan can help delete something which would otherwise be delete or stun something which otherwise might finish you off and give you another turn to win the game. Chimu, another 5/5 body, quite decent, and also heals, which is quite important for the Ogryn. You'll be using this to heal your Warlord a lot. Heal the Warlord and also get double value out of, say, a Vorax or a Laztal. You can attack him for his 5 damage, and then heal him straight back up to the Warlord face, and then heal him straight back up to full health, without risking him being able to be killed off. Yep, quite strong, quite good. It's, as a vehicle, can also be buffed with Transmechanic, with the Engine Seer, and with even Laztal. So yeah, very good card there. Urtzi, don't think I've ever played him. It's a decent card, again, sees ladder play and everything, but I don't think there are enough vehicles to really warrant putting him down to rally this. If we're against a mirror match, I'm sure it might be possible then. If we're against a deck using the Abominable Intelligence or something, yes, definitely want to destroy that thing. But yeah, without many vehicles we're facing this time around, I don't think I overused him this event run. Defiler Prototype. This can finish games for you. 7/4 with Bloodthirst into the Warlord can equal 14 damage with nothing else, but we're in a deck which really enables this. So as I said before, it can be 9 damage, it can be 10 damage, it could be it can easily deal a whole lot more than just 14 damage. And even if it doesn't close the game right then and there, your opponent will often concede when he sees it coming. If you can't stop it, he'll just give up. And again, with the Technical Servitors or the supply lines, he could be coming in on turn 4. Fantastic. Then there's Doombringer. Everyone loves Doombringer. Gets an instant unstoppable board sweep effect. And we'll get to, it's just, a 7/5 is quite a good body on it. Bit vulnerable to something like a crack grenade or something, but hopefully you've got your Laztal around to give him a bit of a HP buff, maybe your Transmechanic, and again, if you're playing correctly or you're playing how it's intended, you're beginning this down on the for 6 energy or less. And last of all, the Leman Rust, just like the Doombringer, same damage but a lot tougher, and although it's not an immediate effect with the 4 damage, it's directly damaging, and it can be applied more than once. So it can take care of a big troop, it can take care of a few small troops, and yeah, just otherwise be a nuisance to the opponent, because it can still act again even after dealing with, say you've got like a front line, you can blow the front line away, and then still come in to hit the Warlord in the face. And once again, coming in on turn, imagine this thing, coming on turn 5. It's a strong deck. It's a strong deck, and we are going to see just how strong it is by looking at the event games. So without any further ado, let's get cracking. Not a bad hand, but going against Donatov, we're actually going to try to mulligan for some more direct power rather than the board clear. Usually we're just trying to punch through a front line. So, you know, a artillery strike can help with that, but I was actually looking for something like a tank or something to go with the transmechanic here. Or a Vorax. Vorax would have been something to find and didn't find it immediately, but found it now, so... yeah, might as well continue trying to beat this thing down. It's only got one attack, so a very, very vulnerable target. That's what we're kind of looking for as well. Technical servitors. They, if they're able to get out something like Doombringer early, or the Lehman Russ, or almost anything, they get killed. Disappointing. But, oh well. They did their part. And yeah, that's a good part about having the what's it called again? The Velataris on board, is that the enemy can't just leave a unit around because it'll just get sniped away. So often they'll you know, attack into, they'll suicide their last unit into you, at which point you're free or open to attack yourself. Like there's no need to worry. Use the Velataris' ability. You get to play your energy on curve instead. Fall back. And there's more to talk about here, but I think the opponent could see the writing on the wall at that point. Army Sergeant is a very favourable matchup for us because his main advantage is being able to flank, and he's not going to be doing that against a frontline warlord. His flanking troops just can't attack us, or the troops we're protecting. So we've got the transmechanic early on, but nothing to use it with yet. Luckily we have the supply lines too. And we get the Defiler. That's going to be very nice to come in 2 turns later. Particularly because we can last tower as well. Last tower is going to be a very good drop just before the Defiler, not the Destroyer. Let's keep the board clear of front line so the Defiler gets a clean run. And that'll be 16 damage. Opponent obviously getting a little bit unlucky there, to be fair. He hasn't got to play anything yet, or maybe he just thought he could hide behind front lines for a while and that would be enough. Sadly, he forgot here he needs to activate flank as well as activate the Melter Bomb itself. So to use the Melter Bomb trick takes what, 6 HP, 6 energy basically. It would have been a very effective one because we had 2 4 health units on the board, and it would basically reduce our Defiler down as well. But yeah, he wasn't in a good position there. The Callidus Assassin seems to be most favoured right now. Don't think we need 2 supply lines, and the Auxiliary, I'd like to try and get a... that's not what we wanted. But I would...
nothing next to my will to
and this is part of the reason why she's so popular right now, is because she can turn into Lucretia, and getting that value is very, very strong. The troop value, particularly later in the game. Here, not so bad, because we did get to change her almost immediately. Mind you, Saul can get pretty good value too. Unfortunately, he's going to play that before us, so not happy about this. His Velataris will be able to snipe off our Velataris with, you know, a bit of help, but and better deal with this thing too as well, because if it's alive when we put a troop down, we're just going to have to replay the whole thing. Yeah, So that's usually what happens. We're going to play down anyway. Hopefully he doesn't have any kind of tactic or anything to deal with it. We wanted to get rid of Saul here, make him switch back to Callidus. Sadly, that meant he could do this and just killed the Volataris. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe we should have let him stay as Saul, but yeah, no, we didn't know what he had. He might have been able to put down a 6-drop or something. So we're going to do this to distract Volataris here. At this point, it's important to get it off the board, whether through the artillery or the just beating it down. Okay. A bit annoying, but luckily for us, we don't care too much because we have two perfect plays here. The artillery strike to clean up all this, and then we get to put down a 3/3 without using a card. So almost as if we didn't not draw a card. Typhon! Apart from the healing, it's often considered one of the worst warlords. So yeah, we're not so upset about them turning into Typhon here. Yeah. We considered whether or not we should attack Lastal here, but we would lose 2 units or take 5 HP to do it. And I thought we'd be better off. Yeah, we're going to suffer a hit basically on our Warlord, unless we want to lose a tank. We don't really want to lose a tank, so we're going to get as much damage in on the enemy Warlord as possible before we can, before we try taking out Lastal there. And now we did 6 damage and still have our units available to us. Whereas if we had attacked Lastal, we wouldn't have lethal this turn. Put it that way.
I am faceless.
Now we do. So, you know, we're going to take the 5 damage either way. Might as well set up lethal at this time. So, we're up against the mirror match here. We're going to get rid of the Aratan, because yes, although we might need it for taking care of some kind of heavy tank or something you might put down early, it is a little slow, and would probably prefer to try and take care of the what they call technical servitors with the artillery strike or something instead. And also, hopefully find our own technical servitors, as we just did. But yeah, that was the main intention of the mulligan there. Try and get the servitors in hand, servitors or some more supply lines or abandoned supplies, something like this, to try and ramp up faster, as we have done with our Leman Russ there. And more supply lines. And we get Vorax down on turn 2. I wasn't expecting that. A little bit strange though that he didn't create a front line for himself, meaning that he just lost both those things for basically nothing. Could have both survived that. Now he does. But a bit late now, actually. At the very least, he could have been using an extra energy to draw a tactic right now. But there we go, turn 3 Leman Russ. That is the best we've managed to do so far. Turn 3 Leman Russ, and how do you deal with it? Well, okay, you deal with the crack grenade. But still, Leman Russ is still on the board. He can still potentially do 14 damage to the enemy Warlord just purely by face punching. And although it's a little bit awkward, we kind of want to get rid of the... we are going to play, let's say, the engineer here, but we were just really keen to get rid of the underground fort. Underground fort's quite... it's like having Lucretia in that everything's cheaper. So we could have been facing all kinds of stuff there. You know, maybe cheaper gold stones, or who knows. So I just prefer to take care of it there. Maybe the Axiarch is a better choice. Oh, Axiarch, Auxilia, yeah. Either way, doesn't matter what it's called because we didn't need him. Thanks to Doombringer here, who could just keep on going and going. And we get a shiny medal for that. That sounds pretty good to me. Alright. Akshub.
Let us begin.
So, I only realised after having mulliganed away to try and get more, and keeping one in my hand, we were of course trying to go for some kind of ramping effect. Didn't get it. Probably shouldn't have tried to keep those 3/3s, because if they punch Akshub, they go down to 1 HP and then she can steal it. So I kept one. I've got another one, but they're not the best of troops to have right now. And rather than... we could have saved our Warlord a bit of damage here by using the other laser to finish it off. But I really do prefer to have the Velataris on board for this reason. Nice. 1 energy, delete. Yeah, you know, I'll take that any day. If we'd used the las rifle to finish off the other, yes, it would have saved our Warlord some damage, but we wouldn't have a troop on board because the las rifle would need to take out his 3/3, that trade. And now we can do this anyway, because this deck obviously has Velatarises too, and they can be quite a pain, as I'm proving right now. So yeah, we are behind, because of those choices, we are behind on HP, but well a hell on board. So yeah, this is the best option here for taking count. It's even almost a bit of a bait. Like, will you waste 2 energy to just create a 2/2? Because it's a 5/5 for us. For her, it's only a 2/2. Or, you know, make it 3/3. But she also has this play too. And that's the trouble with 4 HP units, is that they're very vulnerable to being stolen like that with the Seek and Destroy. Not that it matters. Another Callidus Assassin, but we got a very good hand. We got 1 drop for the first 3 turns. We get to choose on turn 2 whether we have las rifle or supplies. Plus my much beloved Velataris. There we go, he's put down the trans mechanic. Hello. And of course a goldstone to rain on our parade. Still, I guess it means we have to play the las rifle here. We don't get to play the supply lines. But goldstone, the las rifle will be good because it will help negate her the armsman. Again, Latara, one of the better choices for turning into as the Callidus Assassin, because it gives you infinite card value basically. You can get so many cards out of the Latara. So Latara is definitely one you should be trying to punch away as quickly as possible. And just the trouble being it's hard to punch her away because she makes front lines all the time, so you need to have a few units available to break through. But at least Latara is not so bad against the Ogryn, because the fact they have flank is meaningless to us. You know, we almost always have our front line, so they almost never get to flank anything. And here's the most useful of all the choices is, well, circumstantially of course, but usually usually the most useful is Lucretia, because she gets so much value. Like -1 to all your troops. I mean, you can, towards the end of the match particularly, you can put down 4 or 5 troops in a single turn. Shame. I would really like to have had their ability, but it's okay. We got another one.
I am faceless.
Your army is nothing.
And she's back to Lucretia again. This is really not great for us. Luckily, no Ogryns here. Although it wouldn't be a huge issue, the Defiler would be able to punch them away. He'd be able to kill 2 things here. But we get a different choice. We get to get a really cheap Doombringer in. Having looked at the board state there, I do have to wonder if maybe the Vorax would have been a better call. It could have, I think we could have attacked in there and left her on 2 HP. Which would be game over right now because we had the Doombringer. Would Vorax have been the correct play? Maybe. Maybe Vorax would have been better there. I think we would have got lethal this turn, because we would have had the Doombringer 2 damage. I think that's how it would have played out. As it is now, we're in a bit of a pickle. We're almost losing this. With the tank on board, if she can put out a bit more damage, a bit more front line, we might actually have an issue. So better get healing up as much as we can. And now I think we're out of range, but a front line here or there and we might actually have a problem. And there's a front line, but I don't think it's going to be an issue right now. I think, yes. Well, even without doing anything here, we had lethal. Time to just explore. Whenever I got a draw card in hand, even if I've got lethal on board, I do like to look and see what I get. It's just fun.
Give me shiny metal.
And we get another shiny medal. Another really good hand to start off with. Perfect curve out. And we go first this time. So, do we play Rotau or the Advanced Supplies? Here, because there's no... we're going first. And Ornitovs are quite slow. We're probably just going to go for trying to get the value out of the Advanced Supplies. Here, well, sadly we didn't really get to play the transport on turn because we kind of wanted to put down the to snuff away his front line there. But it's alright. It's still there to throw into the mix later with something else at the same time. And Velataris will help make sure Kaiser Lane doesn't use too much. Kind of interesting choice having the precog there. Yes, it does get you card tactic advantage, but yeah, that really sucks when you get a mortar strike like that. I feel sorry for him. Yeah, better make sure we remove. Yeah, like I say, it's a bit strange choice putting down the Kaiser Lane. Maybe this deck it's not suitable because yes, you do get to draw tactics constantly, but you don't get to have the extra card that you would get by having Ornitov by himself. So, yeah. Maybe prefer the tactics over the troop. Yeah, it's debatable. I mean, yeah, here, why not just build up our board state a bit further? We could put down some of these, like the tanks, but there's nothing really to heal. Yeah, you know. my choice is to just save our HP as much as possible and just build up and wipe him out and build up at the same time. Would have preferred to hit the bunker. If it hit the bunker, it would be dead, and now the Ogryn could kill the Farron's militia. But bunker's left to 1 HP. On the other hand, it means he won't draw. He won't generate a free card. And this one can be quite nasty. Luckily we have all the tools we need to deal with it between, you know, the Vorax here and the Velatari. Yeah, we're gonna clean this up, no problem. Just don't really want them to end up on. Yes, we could have killed it off, but considering something a 2/2, we might as well just save the free card he could generate. Considering sometimes he can generate some kind of ridiculous stuff like a shipmaster or something. And yes, we are angry. That's a perfect shot. Mind you, it would be more perfect to land on the Vorax, so maybe it's not that bad. So, yes. Yes. This is a good turn. And that's why we don't necessarily want to go in with our Vorax too early. It's quite, you know, quite powerful, better bloodthirsty than the Warlord. So why not if you have the chance? As you notice during this run, I will very rarely use the Vorax to kill itself attacking troops unless it seems to be the best option. Much better to use it for this. Yeah, not a great opening hand. We might have kept the Las Towel, but really without any guarantee of other Mechanicum troops come down, we don't typically want to attack with him unless he's getting some other value to some Mechanicum troops at the same time, and that's a very good mulligan to get. We can put down 3 units in 1 turn on turn 1. Hierophant can be a strong choice for the Callidus Assassin. When I was playing as Callidus, disappointing. Gonna lose one. Otherwise, we're getting a Chimu in next turn. Have a 5/5 on turn 2, but yeah, Transmechanic instead. Yeah, the Cultist guy, Hierophant, quite strong because he got free generation of troops. For only one energy too. He typically generates something which costs 2. Yeah, 2 cost for 1 and gives it front line. So yeah, you know, he gets to put in a value card every single turn. Could be considered a bit strong, but not at this point. And now we're starting his. Perfect choice here. Be aware when you're fighting the Callidus Assassin that she can do what's his name? Drager.
Where's your emperor now?
Yeah.
I need an apothecary. Me feel nothing.
I am faceless.
Do enjoy a bit of banter.
Your army is nothing next to my will to win.
See, there's one problem with leaving the the Vorax behind instead of attacking, is you sometimes do lose the damage it could have gotten. But well, sometimes it's worth it for the really good payoffs. You got to consider how well ahead you are, and we were quite well ahead here, so I didn't worry too much about the extra 5 damage. It would have been better, of course, and I probably should have. But that's just how it works sometimes. And in the same way, he's left 2 damage on the board here that we're going to clean up. He wasn't to know that though. Man, how many artillery strikes does this guy have? Double Doombringer, which is good because we don't really want to attack with Ogryn Sergeant right now. He's getting a bit low on HP. Bit risky. And another one. He stole all our artillery strikes. But here, well, it would have been. You will be seeing a lot of Callidus Assassins in this game, in this event. Alright. His name, Noisebringer guy, Marius. He's can be annoying if he hits your Warlord when you've got things to protect. Luckily right now we didn't, so it's just a point of damage for us basically. I'm not too worried about it. Put down the robot. Means that he didn't have a chance to. He had a random chance to hit the Warlord or not. Right, definitely want to clear up Lotara because she can be a pain in the neck. If you can't clean up her armsman and get through to her, she can make a lot of value. Yeah, not really caring about losing the Bloodthirst there because we. Okie dokie. Bit early to concede there, I think, but. Yeah. McCormick's Reapers is quite a good card. Many people still use it in their high level ladder decks. But because it usually relies on being killed by the enemy to get the most value out of it, it's not that great for us because we are usually hiding it behind our own Warlord. So it very rarely gets to get the value that it needs. Also, maybe a bit of a misplay there. Maybe I should have healed instead of attacking because there's nothing to protect. But also a good idea to keep up the pressure on Chaos Spawn when it's when it has sneak attack. So it's always going to be slightly out damaging you. Anytime you can get some damage in to get its health a bit lower is a good time. And again, the laser rifles don't usually try and play them to shoot the Warlord, but when you really need something on board there. Here, again, maybe should have Voraxed. Put the Vorax down to attack the... to take out the front line there. Then we're left with the Vorax right here. Wouldn't have attacked with it yet, I don't think. Because I don't think there's anything apart from a very lucky... artillery... death sats. He probably would have survived. Then this turn we could have played... attacked into his face. Attack with the Ogryn and put down a Chimu and healed everyone back up to full health again. Well, the last tower full health. We would not be full health, obviously. Strangely decided to go for the face there with that attack instead of the laser rifle. Maybe he figured that he's gonna try and aggro us down a bit. Still a bit of a strange choice, if you ask me. But we are getting glowing health too, so good idea to heal up. And kind of lucky we did heal up here, because we're now looking down the barrel of death. Really lucky we top decked this. Without it, we could probably still make it, I think, by healing with the Chimu and healing ourselves. But yeah, that was a pretty close one. Yeah, all decent cards, but we want something a bit cheaper, and we did not get it. Still didn't get it. Not being able to play anything for 2 turns is not good, but luckily, typically Army Sergeant tends to just put down a few of these guys for the first few turns, and that's nothing to really. They're good value, but at the same time they're not going to threaten us too much, just threaten our HP a bit. And we did luckily get this guy to drop on turn 2. Get some kind of board presence here. Yeah. I mean, I forget what he... Yeah, yes. No. Bit of a strange play. You don't usually want to put down the militia when it's so easy for the opponent to break through and hit them. But maybe he figured it would be enough of a distraction. Keep damage away from his face. And yeah, he must have an even worse hand than we do, or is really intent on getting those things on the board to try and protect himself a bit. Not what I would have done. Also, not what I would have done there either. You know, that's the Velataris is a much bigger threat than the tank. The tank is just going to put down. Well, it's quite expensive to put down a 3/3, and I don't intend to do it that much when there's other more valuable plays. But attacking that now because Army Sergeant can, of course, give his adjacent troops extra attack power. So better do it now than wait. And I think we're going to run away with this one. Actually clean up the mortar carrier. They're very strong if left alone. In fact, this deck is kind of missing a mortar carrier, I feel. Being able to hide behind the front line of the Ogryn would be very useful. We got Doombringer, which is basically the same kind of thing, but yeah, like a mortar carrier behind the Ogryn comes in a bit earlier, a bit cheaper. Could being able to put it in play in turn 2, maybe turn 2 or 3 with enough technical service. There we go. That's the card I was thinking of. Make it very, very powerful. As I mentioned before, I don't usually try and attack and die with the suicide with the Vorax. I prefer to keep it alive and try and hit the Warlord with it. But I didn't want to stun my Rhino. And we were going to go through the motion there, but realized with Doombringer we had lethal, so that's game. And another shiny medal. Okay, this is a really good opening hand because we got both a strong vehicle, the Doombringer, and the technical servitors, and a transmechanic. All three work together very well. Transmechanic buffs up your vehicles. The technical servitors bring them out early. They ramp up the vehicles, and the vehicles are the vehicles. So this guy's apparently played against this deck before, though, or at least is knowledgeable enough to know that definitely take care of the technical servitors. If I had a 5-cost vehicle in hand, that would be on the border right now otherwise. And man, enough with the goldstones. Come on. It's a bit rude. Thank you, game, for agreeing that it was too rude to be allowed to continue. We're not going to ignore the Reapers for the most part, and give them a bit of a damage, so they can't. So if he's going to attack with them, they're going to die, which is going to hurt. Of course he does that. It's going to hurt, but we kind of just want them out of the way. I want the card out of the way. Otherwise, he's going to keep on recurring it all the time. If we kill it on our turn. But we're, again, going to largely ignore them. Let him continue coming. Yes, you're bringing them back and forth anyway, so... And now that he doesn't have the card anymore. And he's left all alone on board. Very bad position to be in. Particularly right now. Again, read the situation there, because it was because we had so much to deal with the Reapers with that I let them continue to stick around. If you're in a situation where the Reapers are going to be a serious threat and you don't have a lot on board to deal with them, maybe then you want to actually take them out first. But here, I'd rather keep pressuring the opponent's life total and just make sure he doesn't get the card back to keep on playing with. And a shiny medal.
Flawless victory.
So that's it. Flawless victory. Completely undefeated. There might be a few times we got lucky there, but at the same time we still had a lot of chances left before we were kicked out, and I don't think even when we got lucky, it was still very close, obviously, because we won. So I think I covered most of the details about how the deck works and anything like that. If you have any further questions, feel free to ask me. And as some people have been requesting, we are going to open up the event crate and see what we got. The lowest possible goal to get 42. Yes. That reminds me though, we do need to... I have had a request to make a purely Mechanicum deck. It could be fun, and I think Calvor Hallis want to do it. Chinsar, again, so busy trying... Making decks takes time, and I barely have enough time to do these event runs. But as I fill out my collection, get more cards, then I'll need to do less event runs. So
This is the end.
maybe after that, I can settle into making some more decks. Yeah, it's the maximum. I think it goes from 42 to 60 in a gold chest.
Too tough to die! Too stubborn to give up, eh?
Poor Bullseye really dropped off in popularity after that. Quite a lot. Yeah. Gems. Really was hoping we'd get something interesting, but I suppose it's not over yet.
I don't take kindly to threats.
I always saw you a lot there.
Let me show you what happens to Oathbreakers.
What was his history?
Let me show you what happens to Oathbreakers.
But something weird happened to him. Not really up to date on the Blood Heresy War. Hey, remember he was a good card back in the day. Had quite a lot of fun playing with Iron Hands. We should go back to them. I think they got buffed while I was
Iron and Death!
in the hiatus. It's good to get back and see what the hell they're doing. Hey, Mortarion.
Attack, withdraw, and attack again.
Looks like a lot of gems, basically. I think we're getting new cosmetics, huh? Let's see. Yeah. Would be loving it if we were a new player, right? Oh, look at that! Double legendary crate. If we were a new player, we would be having the time of our life right now. How many are two? Like six legendaries? Just a cosmetic. Give me Swift Rider. Swift Rider. Ah, Ecology! I'll deal with that. That's great. That's actually another legendary. This is mod privileges, by the way, guys. The mods have a special checkbox we tick that gives us double legendaries. That's not true. Don't blame don't blame me for saying that. It's not a thing. But yes, Archaeology, the only unique card we get, and it was actually one I was kind of looking for. We might use this to make something themed around. Well, we were talking about Iron Hands. I had a bit of fun playing with a Ferris that got to use a single Archaeology to buff up his whispers easily. Maybe with two it can go even faster. But we'll see. Alright. Until next time, guys. Hooroo!